Thank you. I'd now like to start directed questions to the candidates. First up, Jared and Kate. My question for you is, what specific changes do you plan to make in student government reform? And how do you plan to make student government accountable to the student body specifically?
Okay, so since I have been in Senate, we've really focused on reforming and changing the Constitution to really relate to the student body, for everything to be cohesive, for all of the bodies to be able to work together. A lot of the constitutional changes that we've made will be implemented coming in the fall. And we really need to take a proactive step to make sure that the meetings that need to happen with separate governing bodies on campus, as well as just the overall approach to student government. Student government is not just organizations. Student government is not just student activities. Student government is really there to really reach out to the student and help get students' voices heard. We're really focused on making the student experience a lot better. And the way that we can approach student government reform is just by doing that. Making sure that people understand what student government is, what student government does. If those things are really focused, then I think that we can really approach student government reform in a different way. It's not really about saying, okay, we're gonna change a bunch of policies and that type of thing. It's more so about actually doing the job.
All right, thank you. My next question is for Mike and Micah. My question is, what are the major challenges in implementing student trade employment movement? How do you plan to make it sustainable beyond your tenure?
All right, so student trade employment movement, STEM in short, is going to be a very, very large project, which is going to include lots of people. Now, the people that we wish to include on this are underclassmen as well, people that can stay here, make sure that people understand how this works, and really walk them through it. Beyond that, we also want to get veterans of the school who actually understand what's going on as upperclassmen and help lead and guide them through that process. Now, beyond that, it's still in its early development stages. STEM itself will not be something that can be implemented, within a second without any communication. This is an ongoing conversation. We've spoken to the Career Center to make sure that we are working constructively together as opposed to working separately. We're also working with Student Affairs to make sure that everything is going correctly and make sure we don't step on any toes there. And of course, we're going to make sure that we have an ongoing conversation with the students to make sure that what we implement is what you guys want and it best serves you. But to kind of continue on with the actual question of how is it going to be sustained, we're also going to make sure that we try to put in place measures that are legally acceptable as well as practical for us to have this, to have these underclassmen really take leadership roles and have it as an independent organization that can really operate effectively once we are gone. So does that answer your question?
Thank you. Okay, and I also have a question for Casey. My question is, how do you think your artistic background will aid you in evolving student government?
Because we're mad creative and we can figure out how to solve things better than everyone else. Because we make things out of nothing all the time and we use our hands to create things. Like, most industry is about taking the earth and turning it into landfill. But I'm about taking nothing and making it beautiful. So, therefore, I would make student government really beautiful and this campus really beautiful. And you can solve problems creatively. You can quote me on that. Just like that.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to do another question for all of the candidates, starting with Jared and Kate. Okay, Greeks are an important part of our campus community. How do you think student government should work with the Greek community?
So the role of student government with Greek groups on campus is the same as it is with all student groups on campus. The perception that we've come to find from our conversations with students is that there is a disconnect between Greeks and the rest of the student body. And it's true that student government does not always consider how their decisions will affect Greek life in the same way that they account for other campus organizations and entities on campus. Greeks account for 20% of, or a little over 1,000 students at this campus, and that's a population that needs to be included in important campus discussions. It's a simple action of going to these groups to get the group opinion that is important to us. We're working at going to other groups such as SDC to get their opinion, and as well as the establishment of the student body vice president of organizations this year, the student organizations on campus finally have a voice in the executive government. Basically, we just really want to make sure that Greeks are represented by student government in the same way that all students deserve to be represented. And we find that that is not the case currently, and we are looking to change that.
Thank you.
All right, so the Greeks are a very important part of Carnegie Mellon. As mentioned, they make up roughly 20% of the student population. And what we're working to do is try to find ways to organize without intruding. And so Greeks are actually a large part of CMU Central. Now, we can't speak for the entirety of the government. We are running for executive branch, and I can promise that the executive branch will do everything in its power to help facilitate Greek organization and growth to make it more accessible to all students. So some things that have been thrown out there through our many discussions with Greek leaders is maybe a centralized calendar so that many Greek organizations aren't fundraising at the fence all at one time. Simple things that we can help using the executive branch to set up for these organizations to become more organized, to talk to each other better, as well as talk to us better. And so other ideas could include having Greeks on the executive branch cabinet to make sure that we have liaisons there, we know the issues that they want, and that they can get represented. So under the Mike and Mike administration, we will make sure we take steps to address Greeks, to make sure that Greeks are included in our decisions and are not treated as an isolated group. They are students. They deserve full protection and progress under our administration as everyone else does, and they're not going to be neglected.
Greece is in Europe. It is near Albania and Turkey and Macedonia and Bulgaria. The Greek diet's really healthy, and they eat like grape leaves and stuff. So I think we should have like Greek pride festivals, and that would help get the campus a lot healthier if we ate a lot of like grape leaves and hummus and feta. But actually not feta, I'm a vegan, and everyone else should be too. But yeah, most of the Greek diet we should eat as part of a festival for the Greeks.
Okay, thank you.